Well, welcome back, everyone. Well, you might notice that we're set up a bit differently for this interview than we normally are. Well, I'm sure you've seen the promos on LookTV for The Beast of Whitehall, which will be airing on LookTV in April in its entirety. Well, we thought it'd be nice for you to meet the director of the film. So today, by Skype, I'm joined with director Seth Breedlove. So Seth, tell us about the movie.
Beast of Whitehall is a documentary about this 1976 event that occurred outside of Whitehall, New York, on a back road called Bear Road. And the incident kind of became known as the Bear incident, but basically it revolved around these three kids seeing some sort of upright walking, hair-covered creature on this dark road, and they reported it to local police. And the local police ended up coming out, and 8 members of law enforcement and 3 kids ended up having this sighting of this unknown creature in this field. And that's kind of the focus of our film, although the film also delves into kind of Bear and the Adirondack legends and Whitehall's history and all sorts of stuff. It's like a far-reaching look at the New York Bigfoot phenomenon. And, you know, the purpose of Small Town Monsters films is always to not just focus on some sort of unusual creature sighting, but to also take a look at the history of the region and to hopefully document these incredible cases like the Bear incident and Whitehall's kind of Bigfoot history.
Amazing topic. Well, how and why did your company decide to make a movie about the legend of Bigfoot and Whitehall?
The decision to make a movie about Whitehall came about for a few reasons. One, it's a really fascinating story. You've got, you know, law enforcement involved, and you've got this history that is connected to this town that has obviously impacted the local community for decades now. And we wanted to focus on that and kind of take a look at how the community reacts to this incident today and how it reacted back then, and also how it impacted the lives of those that were involved, like Brian Gosselin and Bill Brand, and, you know, even people like Paul Bartholomew who grew up in the area. So that was one of the reasons we did the movie, but I think one of the inciting incident behind the decision to make Beast of Whitehall was the passing of Paul Gosselin, who was one of the kids that was in the car that saw the creature that night. And Paul actually passed away the same day that we decided this was going to be our next project. So we knew going into this that we needed to get this done because there was a chance if we didn't document this particular case, you could potentially lose elements of the story with the passing of other people, because you're looking at a case that's, you know, obviously been around for decades, and as people grow older, elements of the story start becoming lost, and you lose witnesses and you lose parts of the story and pieces of the story. So regardless of your interest in the Bigfoot subject, or your belief, I guess, in the Bigfoot subject, this isn't necessarily just about the Bigfoot subject. It's about preserving the history of Whitehall, New York, and preserving this amazing piece of your local lore and culture.
Wow. Well, what are your findings?
Well, what we discovered was pretty much what we kind of knew going into it, which was this is a very important story to Whitehall, New York, regardless of how people feel about it. You know, when you have things like a local ordinance being passed to preserve and protect creatures, even if it is more of a kind of just indicative of the fact that the region is acknowledging this kind of local legend, which I think is how a lot of people there view it. Even if it's just something like that, at least you're looking at a situation where you can see that there's a lot of historical significance to this event. You know, people in and around Whitehall obviously feel very connected to this case. Even people outside of the Whitehall area and in the Adirondacks in general, I think, are very connected to the Whitehall case. And regardless, it's a very famous case. I'm in Ohio, and I grew up knowing about it. I'd always heard about the Whitehall situation. So it's kind of globally famous, I think, in a way. But that doesn't mean the story can't be lost, and that's kind of why we part of why we made the movie. Beyond that, we talked to some really interesting witnesses. We learned things that were highly unusual about the creature. The fact that it had these red glowing eyes and that there was a footprint cast found very nearby. One of the really kind of cool elements of the story that I'd never heard before was that a man named Frank McFerrin actually claimed to have fired shots at an upright walking, hair-covered, glowing red-eyed creature off of Carver's Falls Road right outside of Whitehall. So that was kind of a cool element to the story that I'd never heard. We talked to a man named John Winslow, who's never talked about the case on film or anything before. And his version of the story is very neat because it's something, again, that I don't think has ever been spoken about in public before. But he claims to have been at Abear Road the night that all this took place. So that was a big deal for us, is turning up this little side story, this little rabbit trail to the Abear incident.
Well, then I guess we've got to ask you, when is the premiere date and is it open to the public?
The premiere date for the film is April 2nd. We're going to actually show it in Whitehall at the Athletic Club. It's free to attend. It's open to the public. We're encouraging everyone, skeptic, believer, regardless, to come out. I'm a bit of a skeptic myself, so for me, I approach these films as open-minded as possible, and I believe that people are seeing something unusual, but I'm a little more on the skeptical side too. So this is definitely more of a preservation of history sort of film. So if you're interested in the Adirondacks, if you want to support the Adirondack culture, if you want to support local business and all that kind of thing, this is great as far as tourism is concerned. So come on down to the Athletic Club at the Armory on April 2nd. We're going to have a guy, Paul Bartholomew, actually speaking about Bigfoot sightings in and around the Adirondacks. He's going to be talking at 3 o'clock, and then we're doing showings, free showings of the movie at 4 and 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to do a Q&A afterward with some of the other people that were in the film. I'm going to have a table set up. There's going to be t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. That one of the guys that did sketches that are in the movie is going to be there doing sketches as well. So there's going to be movies, food, talk. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So that's a great event. And obviously you can pick up the movie at shop.smalltownmonsters.com as well. That's available on DVD on April 1st. And it'll be streaming on Vimeo. And then it'll actually be playing on this very station that you're watching right now. So on Channel 8, you'll be able to watch Beasts of Whitehall in a few weeks as well.
Well, thanks, Seth. And we all look forward to meeting you when you're here on set for an interview in April. So if you'd like to see this interview again, you can head to our website, LookTVOnline.com.